Hello, here we are again for part 2 of our Frankie sew along. Let's just check that everything is, well, you can't really see what I'm doing at the moment, can you? Let's lower that down a bit. It's a bit better. There we go, we lose the top of my head, but we don't need to see that. So if you're just discovering this not live and you're thinking that you're watching the first one, this is the second part. So there is a first part to the Frankie Jacket sew along, and that will be just listed below on our channel feed. So you'll find that there. So you might want to start with that one. In this one, we have already sewn pockets onto the bodice, and we've sewn the big darts in. And so we are going to focus on sleeves in this one. So just so you know, if I say that at the beginning, then hopefully you'll know what you'll find in this particular one. So Rosie is here as always to chat if you have any questions. So just get involved in that chat. Obviously, it's always nice if you chat to each other as well. Make newbies feel welcome. And yeah, I can see that people are filling into the room, so that's lovely. This one will be slightly shorter. It's going to be half an hour today. So we'll be finishing about 1:30 in case anyone wants to know whether they'll be able to be here for the whole time. I'm good, thank you, Paulette. How are you? Nice. Oh, Carmen, sorry you missed yesterday. I am wearing, by the way, I should say what I'm wearing. This is a Ella blouse. Hi, Nicole. An Ella blouse. I'm wearing it over another sort of fine knit top because of the time of year. But yeah, it's nice to wear the Ella blouse. I've forgotten about that. I came into the office and I basically raided the sample box. Yay! Okay, right. So let's get started, given that we don't have as much time today. So I'm going to start with the sleeves. Hi, Alison. Welcome to the live. I'm going to start with the sleeves, and I've already marked the circles. So the sleeve has a dart in it that just keeps it a little bit, little bit more tapered. So it's not sort of flapping around, and it means that we don't have to do any gathering in this version. So I'm making version 1. The dart, so you basically need to mark the 2 points of the dart there and then the point there. And then I'm going to connect the dots with this amazing tool, which is Rosie's quilting tool, ruler thing. It's great, love it. I want to get one of those. I feel like it's just like a chopstick, but obviously it's a better weight than a chopstick, and it's also a better edge. So I'm just drawing those. So from the point of the dart to the outer point, and then I'm going to connect those outer points to the notches that we have at the bottom of the dart. So it looks like this. That one looks like it's not marked, but I can see it. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we then are going to place it right sides together, line up those notches first. Where is Mr. Notch? There he is. Line that up first. Na, na, na. And then we're going to line those circles up. So what I do is I put the pin in through, and if I'm really lucky, it goes straight into the other side lining up, but I'm not really lucky, so it's not done that. So I'm just going to go through like that, and then hold that in place. And then at the bottom there, I'm going to put another pin just to hold that in place like that. And then I'm going to connect the lines in the same way. So into one side, and that's lining up nicely, and then keeping that pin parallel on that line so it's all lined up. So that's how I would pin a dart like that. Obviously you might choose to pin it in a different way. That's fine. The main thing is that we end up with an accurate dart. So I've just been sewing the other pocket. If you said, remember I said I was going to make sure I've done that. I've done that. So I've done the other pocket. So I had it on the longer stitch length, but we do need to have it on stitch length 3, but I wouldn't go any longer than that, just because it's a thick fabric. I think I talked about that in the last part, sew along. So I'm going to start at the edge where the notches are. Do a little reversey. reversey-worsey, and then we're going to come up to that circle, and at that circle I'm going to lower the needle. Oh, do you? Hi, Teresa. Put the needle in, and then we're going to pivot, and we're going to follow that line down towards the point. Down we go, and we're going to go off the edge. And off she goes. Like so. Okay? So off the edge, we don't reverse at the point of a dart. It's the same with this type of dart. Then we're making a nice circle. Oh, Alexa's talking to me. She thinks that I'm asking her something. We make a nice circle, and then we push that down. So we make a nice knot, tighten it around the pin, push it down, chop that off, and we can take those threads off there. So just like the dart that we did in the outer jacket, it now needs trimming down so that it can be pressed flat. So that in the front we did that, didn't we? So we're going to come in here and we're going to cut. And basically you go as far as you can, and once you start ironing you'll be able to tell whether that's far enough, because it won't sit properly if it's not. So I've just cut through that like that. Just remembered I've forgotten to do my gather stitching. We'll do that afterwards, doesn't matter though. You know me, I like to mix it up, keep you on your toes. When it just shows, I think when you get to a certain level when you're sewing, you generally look at a section at a time. Like I sort of, so say I'm on the sleeves, I'll be like, yeah, okay, so we're doing that, yeah, fine. And then I'll do them in whatever order I think suits me or I remember, because often it doesn't matter. But obviously if you're new to sewing or new to sewing this particular construction or something, then it is literally a case of doing that. And obviously I still would do that if it's something I'm not familiar with. But that's just why I often hop about, because I sort of think about it in sections. Right, so we're now just going to press that open. Now, I do think I'm going to have to trim some of this down. Yeah, we're going to have to snip into it as well. And I'm going to just trim that down a little bit. I'm going to snip up actually into that corner because it's just releasing that a bit. I'm going to take some of this seam allowance off, just to allow it to sit a bit better. Much better. I can really get in there now. Just releasing that fabric is allowing it to sit flatter. Oof. Come on. I always wondered about those irons that people use. I always feel like they're a bit gimmicky, but I swear I've seen them on QVC or something like that. The little irons that are for sewing that have like a really thin little point. Does anyone have one of those? Do they rate them? Because I feel like this is the sort of thing that you would need them for. Okay, so that dart is now done. So now we're going to do gathering stitching. Oh, we're international, are we? USA, Australia, Europe. Couldn't see all of those, Lorianne. Like that, love that. You guys over in the States, it's very, very early. And those of you in Australia, it's late. Thank you for making time for us. Right, so we're now going to just do some ease stitching. So 2 rows of gather stitching. So I've taken that to the longest stitch length the machine does. And I'm going to do one at 1 centimetre. And then I'll do one at 1.4 centimetres. And I'll do another one. That was my 1 centimetre one, so 1.4. Now the reason why I'm doing it at those 2 distances is so that they sit within the seam allowance. So if the seam allowance is 1.5 centimetres, then it needs to be sitting within that so it doesn't show when you've finished inserting the sleeve. So that is those two, so that's prepped now. It's much easier to do your ease stitching when it's a flat piece, because the next step we're going to do is we're going to place it right sides together along the underarm, along this seam here. And although you can still do your ease stitching, so much easier doing it when it's in the flat. So we've got a nice notch there to line up with. So we're lining up with that. And another one there. Lining up with that. We've got some easing to do there, so I'm going to come back to that in a second. Okay. So there is just a little bit of easing there, and you do tend to get that on sleeves, particularly coat sleeves. It's just where we're allowing a bit more room for the elbow and the movement, but it's a small amount, so it can be eased away. You've just got to put in a few more pins. So what I'm doing, I'm just gently pushing the extra fabric into the less fabric, so I'm creating very, very small undulations in the fabric. And that division of it equally, so it now looks like that, will mean that when you sew over it, it won't create a pleat. It's funny, I just said sew over it and then my brain went somewhere else, because we've just been at the Stitches show, which is like a sewing expo show here in the UK. And every time, like we've been doing it for, well, we've been around for 12 years now, but we've been doing those shows for 10 years, and every time without fail, always at least one or two people come up to me and go, sew over it. Is that a special type of dressmaking pattern then, where you put the pattern and then you sew over it? And I always have to explain, no. I wish I was that clever and we had done that, but no. Right, so lining up with the 5/8 of an inch at 1.5 centimetres. Oh, I'm on a 5. Remember to go back down to stitch length 3. Okay. If that ever does happen to you, you can see I'm not going to bother unpicking. I just do a bit more of a reverse. It's not going to show. It's just obviously not going to last if you weren't to go over it with a regular stitch length. Try and put this a bit nearer to me. You can see it a bit better then. So I'm going over this little bit now. Now, ideally, we don't keep those pins in, but if you're nervous, you could sew over them slowly and just hope the needle doesn't hit it. I do find that in thick fabrics, because it's this fabric like this, it's quite tightly woven and it's really stable, so the pin really doesn't move much once you put it in. So the chances of it actually hitting and breaking the needle are higher. So I'm always a bit more cautious about leaving pins in and sewing over them. Okay, that's done. Okay, so we need to press that open now. Okay, so we're going to press that open. I love this whole sitting down and ironing. I'm feeling quite lazy today, and I'm glad I don't have to keep standing up to do the ironing. I have tried that with ironing my own clothes at home, just, you know, when you're doing your ironing and you're thinking, oh, I want to sit down on the sofa and iron, but you just can't get the kind of movement you need. It's fine if you've got a small thing to iron, but if you've got big things to iron, I do find that you just need to stand up. Just need to stand up. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is just press up ready the hem there. We'll just press that up like so. And that's going to be pressed up by 4 centimetres. So Sorry, I don't know what that is in inches. I also don't think I can do that visually myself. Jemima, do you mind if you pass me a tape measure, please? There's one just on the table there. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So 4 centimetres. So I've got the tape measure here, I could tell you. 4 centimetres is 1 and 7, no, just over 1.5 inches. I don't think it's quite 1 3/4 inches, but right, 4 centimetres. But I don't know, in the US where you have imperial, do you also get tape measure with both of them on? And in Europe where it's metric, do you also get tape measures with inches on it? So we obviously get both because we use both. And when someone tells me their height or one of their body measurements in centimetres, I have absolutely no idea to how to visualise that. But when it comes to seam allowances, I want to have that. So I've just pinned that actually. I mean, there's no, you don't have to, but just because it's a bit stiff, this cord, I've pinned it into place and now I'm pressing it, just so I'm being super accurate there with a more stable fabric. And I might just leave those pins in just to help it set, because we're not going to do anything else with that. The next stage would be to do the lining, but at least we've got it to that. It's 1.57. I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? That's so hard for you, those of you that are used to doing imperial, how you can visualise that. Just a little bit more than 1.5 inches. Okay, so what we could do next is we could just sew the shoulder seams together. We've got time to do that. Just realised I haven't cut my notches out though in here, so I'm just going to do that. I am terrible for not cutting notches at the time of cutting the pattern out. I always cut the pattern pieces out and then I put them to one side as I go, and then I always forget to do the notches. But I wish I just cut the pattern pieces out and did all the notches as I went along, then I'd never forget to do them. Okay. I'm just going to check. That's where we're at. Okay. So we're going to take the back piece. I just love this colour. I have to say, like, I'm really excited about this jacket now. Often that happens right at the beginning when I'm choosing the fabric, but for whatever reason it didn't. I think maybe because it's a jacket, we're less excited, aren't we, about jackets, but now that I'm making it in this fabric, I just love this colour, and I'm so loving seeing this, working with this colour. Love it. Like that it's sort of there's a sort of dirtiness to it. You know, it's not too sickly sweet. So on the shoulder seam, we've got a bit of ease as well. So we just need to ease that away. So there are some notches to help you work out where the ease should sit. So if you line up the notches, and then you've got that to deal with. So I'm gonna, this time, it's much easier if when you're easing, you work from the side that you're sewing. Sorry, that's bigger, that you're easing. And I tend to find that I use my pin to sort of move it. I find that using the prick of the pin, the point of the pin, you can move that at ease along. Okay, so an army of pins, but we'll take them out as we go. So the seam allowance is 1.5, 5/8 of an inch. Just checking, yes, I am on the right stitch length. There's a lot of changing of the stitch lengths. I feel like I'm getting a bit confused. Whoops, it was a bit naughty there, went over that. So I'm obviously sewing on the side of the excess as well, where the fabric's eased. Again, much better to see what you're dealing with, because when you take those pins out, sometimes, like now, I am finding that it just needs a little bit of an adjustment on the ease. So I'm just moving the pin along and doing that as I go. Why I'm using these to cut the thread. Enormous scissors. There we go, that's one done. Let's do the other one. We might even get the shoulder seams done. Sorry, side seams. So the reason why we've got to finish early today, it's my fault in that Jazzy's school it's the last day of term today, and I thought that we picked them up at 2:30 on the last day of term. So I thought, oh, that's great, I'll finish the sew along at 2. And then I'll shoot straight off. But no, it is at 2 o'clock. So I have to shoot off at 1:30 in order to get there for her. Okay, just doing that easing here. Okay, another one. So if you think about this jacket, it really is quite easy. I know we've not done the lining, but the construction is quite simple because there's not many pieces to it. The probably trickiest bit is the collar, but there is a Stitch School tutorial on the collar. So if you're wanting to have some help with that, check out on Stitch School the little tutorial for that. It's only £3, or if you're a subscriber, it's obviously free. Right, done. So let's do now the side seams. Oh, now we should have some notches. I just think, have I cut all my notches in? I have down there. I've been well behaved there. Okay, and here forgotten, I made myself a tea for this. It's still too hot though. I made it because I thought I'm not going to be able to finish the tea whilst I do the sew along, and then I'll shoot off, so I'll put it in my flask, but it's still hot. So just pinning right sides together down the side seams now on the other side, and I always think about how I'm going to have it on the machine, you have to flip it and work from the other side, just so that you're going to have all the extra fabric on the left of the machine and the raw edge on the right. Okay, I've got far too many things on here. So there we go. 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimetres. Nice straight side seam. That's all we're doing. Same on this side, and then we'll be pressing open. And the beauty of when you're doing a garment that's lined, you do not need to worry about finishing those seams. So you don't need to zigzag or overlock because they'll be encased with one another, so they won't fray, or they will look. Obviously, if you're using a fabric that's quite fray, like something like a boucle, I would definitely recommend that you do, but for regular fabrics, it's fine. Voila! Right, let's press those open. And then we're probably halfway through, I'd say. So I think, you know, if you think about it, I know I'm quite speedy, but I have also been talking, and we've pretty much got the shell of the jacket done. Apart from the fact that I did do the other sides on camera, but that didn't take that long. The other pocket. I think people are nervous about jackets because they feel like a much bigger ordeal, but they are not. You know, they're just like any garment you're sewing. It's just about breaking it down. And often jackets, you're working with easier fabrics. Okay. There we go. Seams pressed open. And that is your jacket. Patch pockets. You know, I like to try these things on for you, give you context of how far we've got. I mean, granted, we've done the sleeve as well, but there we are. Pocket is there. Oh, those pockets are great. I love the position of those, and they're so good, and it really makes you feel cozy having those. I know I'm going to be using those, hide my hands away. Right. So that is the end of this. I'm going to have to shoot off now. But hopefully you learned some tips on that. And obviously, if you want to watch it back when you're actually sewing yours, you can. They live forever on our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Rosie for answering all your questions. And glad, Kirsty, that you think this is achievable. It definitely is. It really, really is. And I will see you soon at the next sew along.